to be a jack of all trades. And what I said, you don't have to be a real estate thot. You ain't got to have every business in real estate. You ain't got to be sleeping with Airbnb, then sleeping with buying land, then sleeping with apartment buildings, then sleeping with single families. You ain't got to be all up in these, running in and out of these real estate sheets. You can focus. And so I say one is build a track record.
Look, check this out real quick. I appreciate you for clicking the video and checking this out. Make sure you subscribe, you comment, and you like, and hit that bell so you can see when I post new stuff. Also, if you a brand, you got a product or merchandise that you want to market, get in contact with me and you can get it on the platform here. Anything that I'm wearing, you can change it. If you don't like it, send me something, get it on the platform. So do that for me. To get in contact with me for that, check my link tree. Also go to my bio. You can tap in with me there. And also you can go to my social media and send me a direct message. Peace. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome back to another episode, man. Podcast Perspectives. Had the pleasure of bringing on a real estate vet. Will come on, give us some game, some insight. For people who don't know who you are, do you mind sharing who you are, where you're from?
Yes, I'm KayR. I grew up in Philadelphia with my 6 siblings in a single parent household. I tell people, look, I have a PhD in being a tenant because we moved around all the time, probably like 10, 15 times. I remember being so broke that we lived on one block on the uneven side and the even side of 50th and Walton. And I recall some of my friends saying at one night, yo, why KayR and them out there doing a cookout and it's 15 inches of snow out there? So we were really, really broke, homeless and everything, but I worked my butt off, got a full scholarship, went off to college. Then I went off Wall Street, bought my first rental property in 2009. By 2018, I had 9 doors. By 2019, I had 35 doors. And by 2020, I had 105 doors. So I bought 70 rental units during the pandemic and I returned a job. And now I have a property management business and pretty much run my rental empire from New York, where I'm residing now. But 85 properties in the Philadelphia area and 20 in Harrisburg.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people talking about that Philadelphia area. They say that area over there is nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So tell the people, so how did you go about like acquiring your property? Do you go finance? Do you go cash them out? Like what's your process?
Okay, so a lot of people would say, KayR, why did you take so long to go from 1 unit in 2009 to 9 units in 2018? Why did you take 9 years? The reason why I did that is because I think you cannot rush greatness, and things done well are done soon enough. So my approach was I wanted to keep my 9-to-5 job and live off of that. Okay. And every year on average buy 1 rental property. So I would buy these first 9 properties in my personal name so that I can get a mortgage that would be fixed for 30 years. It'll have a lower interest rate than it will if it was in an LLC. The insurance premium will be lower because it's in my personal name. And you get more flexibility on how much you can put down. So I put 15% down, 20% down, 25% down. But when you buy like a property in the LLC, you have to put a minimum of 20% or higher for the down payment. And the higher. Strategy was to buy one of these properties. I will buy something for like $40,000. I will go to like a credit union and they let me put 15% down because it's in my personal name. So I need to come up with $6,000. Okay. And then I will buy, it already has a tenant. So I will let this tenant live there for a few months until I get ready to renovate it. And then I will renovate it for like $17,000. And then it will get appraised. I will go out and get it appraised to see how much it's worth. And now it was worth $146,000. So now I have $101,000 I could put into a savings account so that I can continue to live off my 9-to-5 and build that cash reserve. So over the first 10 years, it was pretty much build the cash reserve, build the experience. And if you just for basic numbers, say for year 1, I made $5,000 in free cash flow. That's after you pay all the bills. And let's assume you add 1 property every year. So in 10 years, then you're going to make $50,000 a year in free cash flow. So you start to have the snowball effect. And then in year 10 or what have you, or year 11, then you can go out and use that for a down payment for an apartment building. So that was my strategy.
Okay, I like that. So when you went this way, did you ever partner, do any group economics, anything like that? Or was it
No,
solely you?
9 years. The reason it took slow is because I would just and no group. I would just go to a bank, and the bank would I'll put down 15%, 5%. The first a partner was in so in 20 it ran through a lot of money and start buying bigger. For example, I could buy $1 million. I would have to come to with 20%. That means I could use 100 grand of my own, 100 grand of someone else's, do it even more creatively. So start getting part 2020.
Okay. So being that you went at the beginning going by yourself, and then 2020 you started to partner, which do you feel was an easier route for you? Going alone where you had the control, or getting with somebody and getting together?
I actually think that the best route is to go on your own and get to learn the business and ownership, to build up reserve. So that was and I really liked it. And it gave me learn. Sometimes partner early on, you could buy something bigger, but you won't necessarily have to learn the whole experience because you're dividing the responsibilities.
Right. Okay. So for the new entrepreneurs of my generation, getting into real estate or looking at real estate, do you feel they should take that same approach you did, have your 9 to 5, then invest here and there, and then just slowly snowball it in? Or do you feel there'd be any other routes to take?
I actually think you should take the route, especially if they're more hands-on. So if you're a hands-on person and you like to, you definitely should take the slow route. But if you are 100% hands off, you could just partner with someone and let them get all the experience. But that's not my personality.
So you got it. I remember you talking about property management, getting a team. You did that, I guess, because you were acquiring so many units, right?
So I started management business from the very beginning. I managed it myself since 2009. So I did that because I was like, I'm a hands-on person, and I didn't want to pay someone 10%, 7% monthly fee. So if you have $1,000 of rental income and you got to pay 10%, you have to pay someone. I said I could learn the whole business and keep that money. And so then I can some of my family on the business. Now, my business partner, one of my business partners, Jody of KJ Consulting, he actually has never managed his own. He owns several doors and lives in New York. He just paid a property manager to do the day-to-day.
Okay. I got two quick questions to follow that up with. So first I want to touch on out-of-state properties. So what's the process like with him having to, or even yourself, like having a property in a different state from you? Like how do you manage something like that? Do you have a team who goes out? Do you just look at the numbers? Like how does that process work?
So we teach a course every 2 months, which is a virtual 4 hours. We teach analyze different cities and then analyze different where we list questions to ask the property manager, the handyman, the real estate broker, the mortgage broker, the lender, so that you can put together. I always tell people, look, you want to be a great player, great team. And so we form that team and how to analyze the market, which removes a lot of the risk and stack the odds here. So that's how we go about investing in different markets, feel comfortable, because we have a team approach and we know how to put the team together and know how to evaluate the risks, the pros and the cons. So that's how we tend to put together. It's kind of like my job when I was working is to think like an NFL owner. And what I mean by that is the first thing, come up with the vision for the franchise. The second thing I was find the GM, the people that's going to run the day-to-day. That's like the property manager, the real estate agent, the lender, the mortgage broker. I want to figure out I want to figure out who's going to run the day-to-day. And then the third thing is for me to watch code from afar. This way I can focus on my 9 to 5 job and do that well, because I already have the vision for the franchise and I hired the people to do the day-to-day. And then what I in the future is how is my real estate business relative to other businesses? Also, do I want to do some partnerships? How going? So I always tell people my was to think like an NFL owner, get fulfilled and into the owner.
I love it. And you touched on some good points. Like, you gotta, when you get into anything you get into, you gotta have a plan. You gotta have how you want to structure it, because then when you run into hiccups, you kind of know how you want to maneuver because you know where you're going. Kind of when you're getting into stuff and you're just doing it, when something pops up, you're just like, oh, what do I do? Because I don't know where I'm going. So now you just run off in the wind and you're just like, I don't know what happened. I quit. I don't want to do it. So one thing I want to go back and touch on was you were saying like having your 9 to 5 and then slowly getting into it and having your own ownership. How do you balance having a 9 to 5 and then plus having to manage those properties without a property management yourself? Like, how did you balance those things?
So what we in my class, and what we do is we like time management. And so I told you do an assignment, you're those entire 30 days. But if you tell yourself you only have 6 days to do your 9 to 5 and to manage your property and with your team, you're more likely to be, because you force yourself to be more efficient with your time. So what I would have to do come up with routine. I'm going to do a check-in with the team in Philly or once a week at 6 p.m. Wednesdays, Saturday at 3 and go and visit my location once every couple of months or once a year or something like that. So you come up with best practices and systems and processes to make your life less stressful and to make it to stack the odds in your favor. So that's how I would spend a lot of time analyzing the process, but also come up with the approach. So like, for instance, if you apply to live in one of my units, not only are we going to do a background check, a credit check, and supervising your prior landlord, and a criminal check, what we're also going to do is say, look, if you pass the first round of the interview, we're going to invite you to the second. And the second round entails us coming to your personal residence that's on your ID and doing an interview for 15 minutes. We want to see how you live, know you. And if you refuse your personal residence, then it's a no for us. So I spent a lot on how do I set myself up for success.
Okay. So going that route, does that, or even starting off whenever you started doing that process, did that slow down filling up your units? Or
well, actually, because I bought one unit on average for the first 9 years, it actually didn't slow up filling up my units because I got to really perfect the process. If I only have one unit to fill for the whole year, I'm good to go. I can just relax and then get ready for the next year.
I got you. I like that. So what are some lessons that you learned on this journey that you feel people should know and that could really help them?
So one thing I would say is that you, especially young people or new people to the profession, is that actually you only need 2 things to be successful in real estate. 2 out of these 3. One is knowledge, and 2 is grit. Like if you're willing to pursue a long-term goal and not give up, that is going to help you. The third thing is money. And when I first started, I did not have money, but what I did have is I had grit, and I was able to get knowledge next. And I leveraged that knowledge and that grit in order to put me in a position to be successful in real estate. The other thing I would say is focus on the 3 C's and the 3 R's. The 3 C's is, one is intellectual capital. The other one is financial capital. The third one is social capital. Intellectual capital means that you're going to take whatever effort you need to improve your intellect, whether that's learning traditional ways in classes, reading books, listening to podcasts like this. You're going to educate yourself about the real estate industry. You're going to work very hard to get smart. And then what you're going to do, because that's going to give you that intellectual capital, which is similar to the knowledge I was talking about earlier. And the financial capital is that either you're going to work on your own, or you're going to get side gigs to come up with the down payments, or you're going to come up with partnerships or convince banks to give you money, or you're going to use your credit to get money. So you can get the intellectual capital, then a financial capital, and then eventually you'll have the social capital, which means that you're able to use your relationships to affect change in your own personal life and others. And then I would say the 3 R's is very important. So as you start, don't try to be a jack of all trades. And what I said, you don't have to be a real estate thot. You ain't got to have every business in real estate. You ain't got to be sleeping with Airbnb, then sleeping with buying land, then sleeping with apartment buildings, then sleeping with single families. You ain't got to be all up in these, running in and out of these real estate sheets. You can focus. And so I say, one is build a track record. Two, you want to build relationships with various people, stakeholders, the real estate agents, the brokers, the lenders, the contractors. You want to build relationships. So one is track record, two is relationships, and three, it will be your reputation. It takes like 20 years to build one and 2 seconds to lose one. So I think if you get the 3 C's and the 3 R's going for you, I think you can be very successful in this business.
Man, we 10 minutes in and you're already talking that heavy, man. Good God. Wealth of knowledge. So one thing I want to talk about was how you spoke on what was it? Not doing so much at one time. And that's true. A lot of times people they spread themselves thin. And especially if you see a little bit of success, you're just like, oh, let me do this and let me do that, let me do that. And then now you start slowing down your growth. And possibly you end up failing because you're doing too much at once. I seen you talked about, networking. How important is it to network and get around the right people?
I think for one, the one thing is I tell people when I was growing up, there used to be in a barbershop, you always have like a crack kid come and talking about, yo, son, I got those hats, $5 for hats. Then tomorrow, I got those new hot dogs, Then the next day I got that box. I don't want people acting like a crack kid in the real estate industry. So stick to something that you focus on. I think the riches are in the niches. So find your niche, you'll become rich. I think what is important about the networking is you want to let people know that you are interested in real estate, that you love real estate, that you're trying to learn everything about it, because that's how opportunities are going to come to you. You're going to attract that. So you want to go to group meetups, you want to be online, you want to go to free events. You want to basically try to figure out how can I put myself around people who are serious and passionate about the industry so you can learn about it. And I think that is really, really viable. Because one, you're going to be able to learn from seasoned professionals who may be older. You also may be able to figure out how to raise money. They'll give you some tips on how to raise money. Might want to partner with you. And so I think that's very important, especially if you're going to be a mentee. The best mentees are the ones that execute. So if your mentor gave you an assignment, you want to make sure that you understand that you're going to be enthusiastic and you're going to execute, because people time is very precious. So I think it's so important that you start to build those relationships. That social capital in those relationships are so important.
Very, very important. So do you believe in the whole creative financing aspect? I know you spoke about having a 9 to 5 and then, just having your side hustle or having your 9 to 5 pay for your down payments. Do you believe in the creative financing side? You have people out here who do the thing where they like pull the money off of the cards and then just try to make more money than the interest or different things like that.
Actually, I did use a credit card to finance one of my rehabs.
Okay.
So I had $17,000. They call it creative financing. I used one of my credit cards in my personal name to take off $15,000 because they had a promotion, no interest and no transfer fee. I used that, and then I had to pay it back once I cashed out the house. So I encourage people to do that. But I will tell you to be mindful. If you were terrible with money your whole life, especially in high school, you're not just going to wake up tomorrow and know how to manage money. So I said, stack the odds in your favor. Only take out what you know you're going to use. Right. Don't get greedy and be like, yo, son, I'm about to go do this HGTV rehab. I got 150,000. I'm about to go buck wild. And you never even know how to pay your bills on time for your cell phone. So I say, cut your losses, keep it very simple.
And I believe that, because I always tell people, like, you should, before you try to go into business, I feel like you should learn how to run your personal life like a business and get the courses and learn for yourself and then apply it. You like you said, you can't get a card and then just be like, I got 150. It's up from here, but it's like you had 10,000 and you blew that. How you gonna, just because you got it, I mean, you're gonna grow it. So something I want to touch on is, what's something from your years of experience, what's something that you would change in your approach, and what's things that you would keep the same through the journey that you took?
I think based on what I did, if anything, I thought I did a good pace.
Yeah, what it sounds.
For me, I don't necessarily think I would change that much. But what I probably would want to do is try to persuade some of my friends and family to take my path. That's probably what I would have encouraged them to do. Because I always tell people sometimes it can be lonely at the top when you're very successful, because some of your friends didn't dedicate and sacrifice. So we can eat at restaurants in the same zip code, but we can't live in the same zip code. And so I would very much encourage some of my friends to take similar steps that I did. The best lessons I really learned is if you do what's necessary, then do what's possible, you will find yourself doing the impossible. So what I did is I did what's necessary. I just went to work very, very hard, believing in myself, staying out of trouble, paying my bills. And then what I said is I'm going to try and buy one house on average every year, just on average. Some years I probably bought two, but I'm just saying buy one on average the first 10 years. I said, if I buy one on average and pay that mortgage and I do the same thing over and over, eventually I'm gonna have enough money to buy an apartment building. And then I'm gonna be able to put my name on a building. And so it went from, if you do what's necessary, then do what's possible, you find doing the impossible. And so I think that's very, very important that we grasp that concept.
I love that. So how do you feel about debt? Because I know the people who I speak to, I have two sides of the equation. I have one side saying like run the debt up, get the house, as long as it covers the mortgage, covers the expenses, you're fine, you're okay. Then I have the other side who's saying you need to pay off most of the house. You don't want that debt sitting on your credit. You don't want to have to owe that. You don't want them to call it in. What side of the equation do you sit on?
The people that tell you, for one thing, there's two types of debt. There's bad debt and there's good debt. Bad debt is if you just being foolish, just buying Gucci bags and going to the strip club every night. That is bad debt on your credit card. Now, good debt is when you have a mortgage on a property or a rental property. When you have debt on your credit card that's for business reasons that you can invest, or you have student loans, those are considered good debt. So I actually think that everybody should embrace good debt, especially African Americans. I think good debt is our friend, not the enemy. It is very hard to scale and make a lot of money if you do not have debt. So you'll be very limited. Someone would be able to buy one house or two houses, and they'll be worth like $500,000 or $200,000, their net worth. But the person who really masters debt, like in America, they'll be worth tens of millions of dollars. So I'm of the camp that we have to learn how to master debt. And that means mastering risk management and money management.
Okay, I love that. So what do you feel about when you start acquiring these properties, you start making some cash flow? Where are you when it comes to being frugal, when it comes to spending? What can you advise people about that? Once I listen to you 3 years from now, I have 5 properties, I'm cash flowing. Now what do I do with my money? Do I diversify? Can I spend a little bit here and there? Like what's that like?
Well, I actually tell my students who already have a 9-to-5 job, I encourage them to, even my business partner, he's been investing since 2018. He had 0 doors. Now he has 60 doors and he quit. I said, no. So what I advise people to do is I want you to keep working for at least 10 years. I want you to do 10 years, live off your 9-to-5 job, and try your best not to touch your real estate rental income that's coming in. Put that aside. I want you to use that money to keep growing your empire. And then you're going to wake up and say, wow, I can't believe I was that dedicated and that serious about building out my empire. So if you did it for 5 years, you got 5 more years to go. So that's what I tell my students, that basically act like it's not even there, below your means. So that's what I really encourage people. So if you have a job, I would tell you get the match from your 401k. So if they say 3%, max that out. Then I will also tell you, depending on your income, make sure you max out your Roth IRA. And then after that, try to buy one rental property every year, every other year. That's affordable. And if you stick at that strategy, I think you'll one, you'll wind up spending so much of your money that you don't have money to be wasteful. And two, you're going to increase your net worth because you're buying cash flowing assets.
And I feel like that's the best way to spend. So with you, when you started acquiring rental properties, and I'm assuming you probably also did the 401k route and all those things, did you ever see something else and like, oh, let me go and invest in that. Let me go into stocks myself and let me invest into this and that. Like, did you ever dip into some other things?
I always invested in my Roth IRA and also 401k and stocks. So I have several $100,000 in stocks.
Okay.
But like I was saying earlier, I'm not a real estate thot, so I'm not sleeping with everybody. So what I do is I invest in real estate and I invest in stocks. I'm not in Bitcoin. I'm not in gold. I'm not in metal.
Right.
I don't be around like that.
I got you. I love it. I got to write that down. Might have to put that in the caption, the real estate thot.
Yeah, not be a real estate thot.
I've never heard that. That is funny. Another thing I want to ask you is, being that you acquire a lot of rental properties, I guess that you are for ownership. Tell people how important it is to own. How important is ownership in your life? Like, how important is that for people?
Well, it's so important because with ownership, when you own like a piece of real estate, say you have bought something for $22,000 of cash, you just saved up your cash, you bought just one property. I bought a property for $22,000, and then I put about, I would say, $18,000 into fixing it up, and so that's $18,000, and then it appraised for $115,000. So I was able to take out $86,000. That $86,000 I was able to use to buy a triplex.
Okay.
So something for $180, and I put down 20%. That's $36,000. So now I have just that one property, have an ownership of one property, and you hold it over time. You fix it up a little bit. You're going to be able to use that to either take money out to pay for another investment, whether stocks or real estate, or you can use that money to buy a property for a child or a loved one, or you can use that money to pay for someone's college or graduate school or a wedding. So ownership is very, very powerful because you can borrow against it and you can make your life so much easier. When you own something, people can't kick you out and tell you when to go and when to leave.
Got you. So I'm guessing your process was you're working your 9 to 5, you're using your 9 to 5 to put down payments. And then also sometimes when homes appraise at, higher value, get that equity, you pull it out, and that's how you end up getting 2 properties in a year, right?
Yes, that's exactly the strategy.
I got it. I love that. So do you go the trust route? Are you planning on going and putting it?
Actually, a lot of people use the trust word because it's a buzzword. I tell people, do not open trust. It's not necessary. Trust has a lot of limitations. So a trust, once you put it inside of that, you're going to have to get your lawyer involved. You get more flexibility leaving outside of a trust. Now, when you get older or you have like little kids, you can do that. But as you build your portfolio, you don't want that because you don't want all these restrictions.
Right.
So I don't get a trust. What you can do is just get a regular will. That will suffice. A trust is just people trying to be fancy. When you're older and you got some children, then you can put a trust because people like to have restrictions on stuff.
I got you. I love that. I had just recorded with, I don't know if you know him, real estate coach Carter. He recorded with me, and he basically said the same thing. Like, because in my head, I'm thinking like, I gotta go get this trust because it sounds cool. It sounds like I gotta protect myself, get this trust today. And his point was he doesn't have a trust either. He has $1 million in assets and real estate properties as well. And he was like, I don't want to get a trust right now because I don't know what I'm keeping, I don't know what I'm selling, and I don't want to be trying to move stuff around with a trust.
Oh yeah, that is so many restrictions. Yeah. Refinancing, moving things and out is just a pain in the butt. And some banks won't even work with you if the property is under a trust.
Oh, really? That's game. So you were putting all your money into acquiring properties, into your 401k. How did you find time to balance fun time? You have to have time for yourself. How did you manage those times?
Well, the thing is that it's all about coming down to budget, right? And so you out how do you budget for fun. So you may say, after you put money in a 401k plan, put money in your Ralph IRA plan, put money in one property a year on average for the first. If you're only buying one a year, you're not going to tie up all your money the first 10 years. You just got that down payment was $6,000 or $8,000, right. Something else. That's only saving $500 to $700, $800 a month. Right. And what I would say is, look, I'm going to reward myself. I came up with a budget. I go on a vacation this year for $2,000 or $3,000 or $1,500. And you stick to what your budget is in the beginning of the year. That's how you have fun. But you also figure out what really brings joy to you. Some people get joy by going to the park and they love nature. Some people get joy by going to a lake and going fishing. People get joy by just reading comic books. Some people get joy by working out. Or some people just get joy by hanging out with their family. So I think to each their own, they just got to figure out what is the way they have fun and figure out that they're not spending too much of their own personal money that they need to invest. So they're like, all right, this is the budget for fun time.
Don't go paycheck to paycheck is basically what you're saying.
Basically, yeah.
I got you. So I want to go back to a question you talked about. You said in finding purpose and stuff, you said you wish you would have been able to tell more family members to follow your path. One thing I want to speak on is how can you do something like that? Because like when you're dealing with family or friends and people, sometimes they kind of hold you back at times. So how would you be able to show them without hindering yourself and your growth?
Well, I don't really know. That's just something, hindsight is 2020. I just say, I definitely did tell people, my friends and family. I was just talking to one of my mentors who actually, his name is Glenn, and he's an older guy. And at the time in 2009 or what have you, he had like 9 units or what have you. And I had 0 at that time, but then I bought my first. And his niece was actually one of my best friends from elementary school, middle school, high school. And I was like, yo, your Uncle Glenn is like putting you onto the game. You need to buy a rental property. And she's like, no, not really. I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that. And so what happens is now I have like 105 doors. He probably has like 15 doors. And we were just talking. He was like, yo, I was telling my nieces, my cousins, and all of them, they should have been buying. I said, I remember. And I said, but you know what? That saying in the New Testament by the prophet is not wanted in his own home is definitely true. So I can't really change the timing of like my friends and family believing me, but at least now they're starting to be on board.
I got you. And that's good. That's good to be able to want to help, and not be quote unquote greedy about it and be like, this is mine. And I'm okay. However you're doing this, however you're doing.
Yeah.
I think I want to touch on before we get ready to close out is what are your plans going forward? I mean, for people listening to this, you have over 100 doors, you're making money, you're living your life, you're happy. So what are the goals going forward? What can you aspire to do once you reach this level?
So for me, we hear a lot about generational wealth, which is I buy a house and then I save it for my children, pass it down to them in 30 years. So that's like a north to south kind of concept. I want to think about things from like east to west. And what I mean by that is what I call transformational wealth. And you're transforming the wealth. So what happens is I buy a rental property for $1 million. I convince my younger brother to get his real estate license so he can get a 3% commission. So he gets $30,000. Now he can use that money for a down payment for his wife, for him and his wife and his 5 children. Now they're moving into a better neighborhood and they have wealth today. We transform their wealth today, left to right, not 30. And so then what's going to happen? Then what the next thing is I do another deal. My brother gets a commission. And what he does with that commission is he gives his in-laws like $8,000. Now they're able to move out of their apartment and now they own a duplex and now they're landlords. So what we're doing is transformational wealth today, not 30 years generational wealth. We're talking about transformational wealth. And so I will hire like my niece and nephew to be interns so they can learn the business, hire my aunt. She'll do like some help with the cleaning business, or my other brother with landscaping business. That is my focus. My business partner in 2018, he wasn't a millionaire. Now he's a millionaire. So what I'm trying to do, my main focus now is transforming people's lives through wealth. And I call that transformational wealth. Because once you reach a certain point, in 2009, I made like $10,000 a year in annual rent. 2018, I made $85,000 a year in annual rent. And now I make close to $100,000 every month in annual rent. So people who are really well off, they're just going to get rich and rich. But the thing is, how many other people around you, your friends and family, how many of them are going to be better off? And so that is what I'm focused on for the next 5 to 10 years.
I love it. And going that route, you won't lose because you're looking to help other people. You're helping them help you. I hope everybody was taking notes because I know I have some stuff to take down, to look at and review. Don't let me get all this game by myself now, y'all. To close this out, you know what I'm saying? Just let people know like any announcements you have, any courses they can get access to, and how they can find you.
Okay, perfect. The way you can find me is on IG, and my IG is KayJaysonsulting. That's KJ Consulting. You also can find me on my website, which is www.kjconsulting.net, N-E-T. What we do is we offer consulting. We do 45-minute consultation over the phone. We also offer a course on single families, which is 1 to 4 units. And that is for 4 hours. We do that every 2 months. Another course we offer is an apartment course where we teach you how to analyze 5 units and up. We teach you about syndication, how to raise money. Both courses are basically, you get a 4-hour course for the first one, but you also get an ebook for 20 pages explaining key steps, questions, things of that nature, get our Excel templates. But because I do not believe in one-night stands, we work with you for the next 12 months doing once-a-month check-ins at no additional cost, because people need time to work on their credit profile, to work on their down payment, and to understand the material. For the apartment course, that course is an 8-hour course, and you will learn how to analyze apartments, how to do the underwriting, how to do syndication, how to put deals together, raise money. And that course, we have that coming up in probably once in November 20th. So we have two exciting courses. We're not trying to be a jack of all trades or a master of none. We're trying to focus in and give you that high level, high touch experience.
I love it. I love it. So there y'all have it, man. KayR in here giving a whole lot of knowledge, a whole lot of game. Like I said, I hope y'all taking notes. I hope y'all trying to learn something. Make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe, tag them, share it. Give this to somebody who want to get into real estate, because he gave some good pointers on how to get into it, how to maintain it, how to stick to it, how to help others. So you gave people so much game and so much knowledge. Now your brains are full. Now you got to end this out with some motivation to help people keep pushing forward at the end of this video.
And what I always like to tell people is, look, my biological parents are deceased. My brother, younger than me, when I went off to college, he went off to prison for attempted murder for 12 years. When I was a junior in college, my sister was murdered by the father of her children. But you know what? No matter what the world threw at me, from being homeless at one point to just having housing insecurity, what I realized is that no matter what the world throws at me or throws at you, you have to keep coming out the corner swinging. That's the only way you're going to win at life. Do not give up, no matter what the world throws at you, because you don't realize how strong you are until you step up to the plate. So get in the game.
There you have it. Your perspective is everything. We out.